Alright, so a couple weeks ago, I made a video talking about the whole SpaceX IPO. As you can see here from this article from CNBC, SpaceX is making a bond sale days after its record IPO, and they disclose over $100 billion cash. So with that, they're saying that the proceeds of the bonds that they're issuing will go towards paying off bridge financing and other general purpose needs. Doesn't that sound a little interesting considering the company just had a record IPO? Why would you need to go be more subordinate to the debt markets? Well, of course, I had to make a tweet about this, explaining that it seems interesting that you have a record IPO, but you're still selling bonds to the markets. This is what subordination to the financial industrial complex looks like for those who are unaware. And this is something that my guy Simon Dixon talks about on and on YouTube, on Twitter, etc. Definitely check him out. He explains a lot of this stuff, and I've learned a lot from him. To Simon, because he ended up retweeting me and he was explaining this in more capacity, talking about the whole idea that SpaceX is loaded up with more debt and they have to answer to the bondholders. That's how a debt-based system works. You issue equity at massive valuations so stocks can be used as acquisition currency to roll up smaller AI companies. You make the business even more dependent on the contracts from the Pentagon and the military industrial system funding streams, which is what's happening. And you concentrate and you consolidate all of the tech industrial complex power, which is subordinate to the financial complex interests. This is exactly how the game works, especially from what he's describing. You use leverage, consolidation, and dependency, essentially to make those individuals, whether it's Elon or any other entrepreneur, subordinate to the people that are financing them. He goes on to say that the entrepreneur gets the upside, the system gets the infrastructure, and the shareholder gets the same story. The bondholders get control, though. That's what happens in a debt-based system. And Elon, he is the trillionaire on paper, but he's subordinate to the financial industrial complex agenda. Nothing personal, just incentives, just capital, just power. This is why I always explain to people that in a debt-based system, you have to look at what the bond market is telling you, not what the stock market is doing, because it's all fake and it's illusion. This is why as an individual, you can be sovereign in your own regard and save in hard money. You can save in hard assets. You can save in things that actually give you more purchasing power. But this example of an IPO that's a blockbuster IPO that allegedly everybody wants, but days later, they're subordinate more to the bond market, which is controlling them through the financial complex, is very telling. So essentially, you can take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, or you can do the research to understand what Simon is explaining, a lot of what I always talk about on my pages about why the denominator matters and why hard money is important at the sovereign level, because you can save in something that can't be printed out of thin air. Because what you're seeing in this example is a prime example why it's important for you to understand the difference between currency, which is controlled by central authorities, and hard money, which you can stack and save to give you more buying power as an individual. Once again, this is not financial advice. This is freedom literacy.